Okay, here we are again. Good night, everyone. We're back on our little experiments for Codevember, and this is Codevember number 21. Yesterday we made this little guy made of particle which collapse every 3 seconds, I think, and then it's regrow himself. So it was quite fun. Also, we've played with sign distance field, a sphere sign distance field, in order to get this kind of look like color dispatch on the body, and also a little bit of color. So some physics, some other elements, and it was quite interesting. Okay. Um, I'm not sure what I want to explore tonight. I had various ideas. There was this ideas about the butterfly, but it might be a little bit too long. I have another idea which can be really interesting, and also it play with shadows, but I'm not sure it would be good on this one. I'm not sure. We really need to cast some shadows, so I'm not quite sure. But let's try this one. Okay. The main idea was to maybe play with some kind of extruded shape, but I'm quite not sure about that. But we can try something really simple. So yeah, the main idea would be to keep our little guy here, but try to play with light. And I think that I can show you the reference on Instagram, which is Instagram. Let me go here. So it's kan Kubuya Berke. Okay. There is this nice project where you have a lot of shadows casting on around shapes. So I was thinking about that, but I'm not really sure because we are in a dark environment and we don't have any we have shadows, of course, but we don't have any plane to cast it, so I'm not quite sure about this one. But yeah, we can try a little bit. So if we disable this point light, for example, and try to put a light directly into the rig. Yeah, I know I can. Okay, let's unpack the prefab and try that. Oops, I think I've. Okay, so this is the point I wanted. Let's try to put some color into it and change the area, something like that. Let's try that. As we see, so the light is applied, so it's not a problem. Then we could try to add some shadows. Yeah, it could be interesting to play with that. Okay, So let's try that. So the main idea would be to add some light directly into the directly on the rig. So the light would be following the rig, and we could have some extruded shape. So we could generate our little shape and try to make something really simple. So where was I? Yeah, let's open Cinema 4D in order to try that. Okay, so Cinema 4D is opened. So let's go back here. Let's try that. So let's start with a platonic solid. An icosa would be interesting. Octa, the dodeca. I think dodecahedron might be good. Let's put some segment into it. The icosahedron. Yeah, let's try that. Bucky is also something else. Dodeca. The dodeca is quite strange. We have some part of it, but I'm not sure about this. Okay, so this is Cinema 4D, and let's try an icosahedron. So then we could break it, select all the shapes, and try to say something like an extrusion. So let's put, do I need to say something more like that? Ooh. I thought it was this one, but it might be not the... oh yeah, the exudiner. This is what I was thinking. I thought. No. Oh, yeah. Okay. So... oh, I cannot take every... why do I can't take the shape? Oh, I think I can take one shape per one shape, but I thought it would be working with that. My let me check again. How could we do that? Let's take our little platonic solid. So this is okay. I'm looking into a quick tip tutorial from Nidia Diaz, which is an amazing motion designer, art director, etc., etc. She has a book full of amazing projects, etc., etc., and she made a great tutorial, quick tutorial about that. think it's the preserve group. Okay. Okay. I remember now the idea. So yeah. Again, let's break the element, select all the shapes, take the extrude liner, do not preserve the group, and now we can have our little extrusion system. So it's okay. Then with that we could say let's name it liner. Okay. So we could also directly delete. So now we have our little shape here. Okay, so now that we have our little shape, we can take a little bit of volume into it by using a closed surface. So let's check this. Let's take a closed surface and we could put into it and try to get a little bit of extrusion. Oh no, we could have some thickness into it. I put a 0 in order to keep everything consistent. And let's say 5. 5 might be enough. So we have this little icosahedron. We could also put some subdivision surface if we want to have something with more organic shape, but I'm not sure. Let's try to set current state to object. So, oops, seems to be okay. Okay, now we have our little platonic shape, which is this one. I haven't had the dual graph on my Cinema 4D, so that's why I was looking for the dual graph, but I haven't. I doesn't have it. So yeah, let's try to add some subdivision. Or what? Let's first start without a subdivision. Let's add a polygon reducer. I'm not sure about that also, so let's keep this. Okay, let's save this one and we will name it we're in the same. So in the geo I can say ico. Okay, ico 1. So now we have our little icosahedron. Go back here and let's change. Let's put our ico on the scene and see the size of it. I think it's the right size for Cinema 4D. not at all. Yeah, this could be a proper size. Okay, now we could put the icon here, and we could try to check how it behaves for our little system. So of course it's too small, so yeah, let's add a size of 1. Okay, so of course with this system we will need to add the rotation, etc, etc. So let's disable everything, every behavior from our compute shader. So we could basically try something more simple. So let's disable all this little guy here and simply say we want the position to be equal to the position buffer to the index. So we would simply place the geo on the vertex. So now we have some kind of guy here. So let's go back to the GPU mesh controller and let's reactivate this little rotation here. I'm not sure about this one. Yeah, we can keep it. This one was simply oriented the mesh to the normal. So of course now it's really it has too many elements. So let's change this a little bit. Let's change the view in order to see it properly, and let's put 100 of elements to start with. So now it's more of a geoman. It's kind of interesting when we have less elements. As you can see, it kind of light all over the shapes. So I kind of like that actually. So we could say this is the mean scale. Let's try to add some scale into it. It's strange, we don't have the proper 8 here, so let's augment a little bit the number of elements. Yeah, this is better. Okay. So this could be boom, boom, boom. Okay. And this is the normalized size of the original pose. It's okay. XYZ, it's okay for that also. Okay. now we have the guy here. Trying to understand something because I'm not sure about the distribution system. Yeah, as you could see, this is okay, but usually here I would add something more. Okay, we would need to change a little bit something. Looks like it's inverted. I'm not sure about that, but it seems inverted to me. Let's try something more simple. Okay, we have a ramp here, so I will duplicate this one and we'll create a new ramp. And this one would be much more simpler. So basically we are going from black to white. Basically. Okay. So this would be at 50%. And this is a based ramp. So let's say ramp 1D5. some are random and some are not. Did I make something on the ramp? UV ramp is that. Scale UV ramp. Oh, of course I made something. Forgot to apply my ramp. My. That's why I've got the same system. Okay. Okay, so on this one I could have something like, okay, so it's Bigfoot, small elements and big again, so because I've inverted everything, so this is something like that. So this is more interesting. So let's think about the distribution. Maybe we could have something like, okay, 0, 1 might be a little bit too small, no? Yeah, 0.1 is too small, okay, and 1.5 for example. Okay, so big head, big elements. So let's try to find a new shape a little bit. Maybe I could have something with some kind of big head, small hand, but big foot, you know, something like some kind of inverted shape. Could be interesting. So this would mean I want to have big foot, big L. Okay, then I could put a little bit of dark directly here to try that. It would be RAM 6. Okay, so now let's try the RAM 6. Maybe we would need something more simply purely random in order to have a more dispatch one like this, so we could play with bigger size. It's more interesting when it's some kind of massive like this. So this and this, let's check. So you know what, we could play with random directly. So let's say if I want some randomness, okay, there's no saturation, and a pure random. something like that. We have some white here, some white here, so it might be more interesting. Okay. Oh yeah, it's more interesting right now. So of course we still have our colored system. So what could we do by that? Let's simply change a little bit this. Okay, so now what happened when we try to put a light directly into this? So let's put some kind of a point light, which has a range of, let's say, 2. It could be really small, but let's have a range of 0.5. And let's try to put some red light with an intensity of 2 and a soft shadow. And now we reset to this. Yeah, we could cast light, so that's kind of interesting. That was the idea. Okay. Okay, so let's start to work on the shader part. So let's put an intensity of 1.25 for this one. And let's change a little bit. So we could put lights on various area, and for example on the head, on the chest, on the knee, on the hand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We could try something like that. Okay. So first of all, I would like to change a little bit some things, which is changing the shader we are using by creating a new one. So let's create this one. Okay, this would be 21. It used the vertex shader 20, so let's look into it. Not with that. Okay. And now we could go back to something more simple, which is get rid of this and this. Let's keep this because .o.oppose don't override these parts. It's only on this structure, so it's not a problem here. So yeah, let's put the RGB and don't add anything like that. Okay. Do I change this? No, I haven't changed this. So okay. Okay. So we need to have something like 2 file. Okay. Okay, let's place our little guy here and try to find where are the elements. Okay. The spine, this is the spine 2. Okay, the chest is here, so the chest is spine 2. So let's reset. Oops, I've put the plane into it. Let's reset this. So this is the first light. So let's use this. Create a reset, and we put something like that. Okay. Left shoulder, left arm, forearm, left hand. So forearm might be interesting also. Something like that. Okay. Okay, and let's try now this one. This is the knee, so let's put one on the knee. And on the foot. Okay. I think it's more like that. Yeah, the base. Yeah, something like that. A fully glowy man. So let's try that one. So you could see the main system is working. Of course, all the lights have the same. So first of all, let's try to find all the point lights. Now this is the chest. Okay. So let's rename. Let's name this body light chest. This is body light knee. This is where is, oh yeah, I've seen it. So this is body light elbow. This is body light head. This is also body light elbow. This is foot. This is hand. And knee and foot. Okay, so now we could say something like body. Okay, so we have the two foot, and the foot might be too big for the range, so let's say a range of 0.5 might be enough. Let's check. Okay. Then the knee. The range is really too big, so let's say a range of 1.25 with an intensity of 75. Starting to look better. Maybe only one light might be enough, but you know, something like the chest only. Okay. Chest and hand now. Okay, let's try to change and to define a rotation axis. So the main idea is to try to rotate the shape directly into the compute shader. We need to remember that we seems to have a problem. With the sorry, let me go back to this. Okay, it seems we have a problem with the rotation system we have, because when we try to rotate the shape on a random axis, the shape seems to be scaled. So I'm thinking about a way to avoid this. So first of all, I want to change this because I'm not sure about. Okay, that's better. Okay, I wanted to have some kind of neutral color. So yeah, we need to find a way to get rid of this little parts. So let me explain the problem here. So let's define a random axis. So for example, if I want to have something like an axis that would be something like float 3. Okay, 0, 5 minus 0, 5, 1. Okay, could normalize this axis. Normalize. So this is my axis, and I could change the angle by saying, for example, take the time, which I bound every frame, sorry, time every time, it's okay. So and it seems to work. Whoa, I thought it wouldn't work. But yeah, it's working. Okay, so let's try to randomize this. So for example, float rand x. This could be, for example, something like the random based on the original position. I already used this one, so let's use a random 3 based on oppose dot xyz. Okay, we could use a round y, which could be the same, plus oppose dot w multiplied by a sample value, for example, just to offset a little bit. Okay, then let's try something new. Let's subtract this and change this also. So now we have xyz. I need to remap this value between -1 and 1 in order to get proper axis of rotation in on one direction and on another. So for example, if this is my x-axis, would say positive or negative. So let's go back here and say we want to run x, y, and z. X, y, z. Okay, and let's try that one and declare. Yes, I forgot the n on the random. And identifier oppose. Okay, and now it's okay. So now everything is rotating with a random value, and we have a little bit of let's try to look into it. We have some glow into it, which is quite interesting. We could also try to increase the intensity of the body light, but as you can see, the body light has really many elements. The elbow could be interesting. The knee, I think, could be interesting also. Okay, maybe we need to put more light directly into the chest, directly into the spine, you know. But it's quite interesting, in fact. And we have a little bit of glow, so this is the hip. I don't want the leg, I don't want that. And we're more on the spine. Okay, let's go back with the body to check. So we have one here. We could put one on the base, for example, which is on the hip. So let's put this on the hip. And let's call this body light hip. It's quite simple, but it kind of works. Yeah, I'm not sure about this one. Okay. So let's keep this 2. Let's reactivate this point light here. And give a nice little color on the back. Okay, so now we can focus on the material. I use the quartz, but maybe it's time to try the agate. Okay, so this is the old one, so this is the one we're using. So we could use the agate. Oh, really not interesting. Not at all. When I click on pause, it looks like they're going on the same direction. No? No, it starts from the same direction, but it doesn't have the same direction. But it's starting with. So agate is not interesting. Even in blue, it's not interesting. Hmm. Okay, so we need to think about we need to think a little bit about the material we want to put into it, because I wanted one of the main idea I had on this project was to always play with color, and now it's clearly not the fact here. I'm trying something without any color, but it's also kind of interesting. So maybe I want to have something more metallic and try to change a little bit the metal. So let's try to find a nice metal texture. So CG texture, this, and there is this list on GitHub which is really interesting. Yes, okay. Let's look in the abstract. I think I want to go with something like metal, you know. Let's try to look into the okay, let's go to metal. It's metallic, but it's always has some kind of interpretation which I'm not looking for. Let's go on this one. I think we would finish with something really like a Christmas tree. This could be really fun. Okay, let's go back to really like this one. Let's download this one. This one is really interesting also. It has some kind of thin film into it, so it's really interesting. Okay. Metal 0. We could also, I think I would also try another shape. So we've played with the ICO, and it could be really interesting to also change that and mix some of the shape. So we could mix shape and material, so this could be really interesting. Okay. No. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we have metal and metal 1. So let's take the two normal texture and set up as the normal map. Go back here. So it's this one. Let's start with the first one. Okay, I think this one is really interesting. Kind of metallic, we can nearly hear the clang clang, you know. Of course we could change this part so we do not have any environment, but I think a little bit of the environment on it is really important. This would give us really a proper metallic look. Okay, let's try another shader right now to prepare our second shape. Okay, 0, 1, 2, okay. Go back here. Okay. Now I think we are reaching something interesting. Okay, we have reached something interesting, so let's try to focus on the second part. On the second part would be adding a little bit of color into it, right? So let's try that. The main idea is to basically create the same shape here but with something different, so let's try. So create a new platonic solid, which could be this time a dodeca, sorry. Then break it, select the shape, extrude inner. We do not want to preserve groups, so let's try something like that. Seems okay to me. Let's delete. Use the same close surface would be enough. So okay, close to it. So now it's okay. And current state to object. And save this also as the dk1. Okay, go back here and let's take our model. So the ICO one was 001, so I would put the same for the dodeca. Okay, duplicate this, so copy, paste as new. Now we could change it, so this one would be 100 of element, this one would be 100 of element, and we will use the other shape. So the shape we want to use is the dodeca, so dodeca here, and change the material by the second one we've made, this one. So now we are mixing shapes and material, in fact. I think so. Look like the same. No, it's not the same. Okay. Look like a little bit like the same because the dodeca is really a look-alike. So maybe we can change this a little bit. Go back here. Let's change this part. Use that, or we could change this. Hexa dodeca. What is strange with the dodeca is this little area here. So I want to get rid of this. But if I cannot remove this. Yeah, I can melt. Okay, I can melt the parts, so this could be more interesting. Where is the melt? Is here. Melt. Okay. Looks okay to me. We have a full dodeca, so it seems to be perfect for me. So now we can take everything, use the next to Dyna, and try to extrude our shape and remove this. And now we have the dodeca I wanted to have. So this is kind of perfect. Put this in the cloth, break it, take it, put it, and it's better. Okay, let's export this as the dodeca one. We will override this, so we don't have to change any Unity parameter. So now we can see we have some of true dodeca and some not so true, some dodeca and some icosahedra in fact. So let me reduce the number of elements for you to see. So yeah, you can see this is an ico, this is a dodeca. Okay, so we could try another shape again, and this one might be we might use, I think, let's try that. Try to run the shape, you know. And maybe we can put a little bit of another shape into it, I don't know. It might be interesting to use the dual graph. Why does I don't have the dual graph? Let's save this little geo here, so let's call this geo on the element. So why do I don't have the dual graph Cinema 4D and Tagma? Yes, this is the plugin. So you know, the dual graph is quite interesting and can give really interesting look. I can also use Voronoi directly into a dodeca, so it might also be interesting. So how to install dual graph? Okay, there is a plugin folder somewhere, so let me check my preferences. It's here. Okay. So maybe we could put a little bit of we have some silver, so maybe it could be interesting to put not some gold, but some other color, you know. So let's open this. Where is my geo? My geo is here. So where was I? Yeah, I wanted to try the dual graph. For example, on our Dodica, let's break it. Let's try the dual graph. I'm really not sure about this, but it gives us another shape, you know. So it's kind of interesting. Okay, so let's use the same thing we've used lately. This and this could be, I would melt my shape before using the dual graph. I think it's okay on all the borders, so yeah, it's okay for all of them. Let's try to dual graph this. Ooh, really doesn't like it. It didn't like the dual graph. It was quite a break. So what about the sphere? Does it look interesting or not? Yeah, the dual graph and the sphere basically taking something like that. So maybe we can simply try something different. So now that I have that, I could simply try a Voronoi fracture also. Okay, so now we have some kind of Voronoi fracture based on the little guy here. We could change the point distribution, you know. How many do I have? This is a standard deviation. I could simply reduce the amount of point, let's say. Yes, this could be better. Let's again break it. Connect and delete. Okay, and let's use the same thing we've used since the beginning of this little experiment of tonight, so something like that. Okay, and now we have some kind of Voronoi shape that I could put into a subdivision, sorry, a closed surface, of course. The subdiv gives this kind of, if I delete the subdiv surface, for example, now we have this kind of arch shape, okay, with some thickness. But if we put to a subdivision surface, which give us some kinds of something more organic, so maybe we could simply use this, maybe with a value of 1 in order to avoid shit. Let me put a proper value. Okay, 1. Okay, a value of 1 to avoid having too much subdivision, so it might be better. So let's try with a subdivision of 2 at first, and then we could change a little bit the value. Okay, put that here by web front, and let's call this little guy here assets model geo Voronoi Dodica. I think it would be too much copy as new. let's reduce this number, let's say 1 and 1 for them, so we could basically focus on this one. Okay, let's duplicate this, put on our little controller. Okay, and my Voronoi need to have the same scale of all our other shapes. Okay, let's try. Of course, of course, I've put the Voronoi not in the proper. So this one is the Aiko, this one is the Dodeca, and this one need to be the Voronoi. So yeah, as you could see, it's interesting, but I'm really not sure about. It's kind of a frame drops, of course. So let's take the one which has less sub. Thing like that. Current state to object. Check this and put here and export. Yeah, so it's better. So of course it's more GE, I could say, because it has more detail. You could see them. So we could change this, and let's say we want only 25 of them. Maybe 25 is too much. 15 maybe. Okay, yeah, something like that. Now let's change the texture and try something with more color into it. So add 5 elements of this, copy and paste as new, and create a new material with a proper gold now. Okay, and now we could update this 25, 25 and see what's happened now. I think we would need something more white for the second. Material. We have this one, but we haven't tried this one. We have this, or maybe something like that might be also interesting. Let's try to look into some color association just to be sure. See, with a little bit of white. All the things are too dark right now. So with the last element, it called 032. Yes, this is this one. Okay. No, we don't want that. In the texture, let's try a metal 2. Okay. We're reaching something interesting now. We are touching something which could be really interesting. Yeah, this is something interesting now. Kind of interesting shapes. Okay. It's kind of interesting. Let's try something I have in mind since the beginning. I'm not sure about this one, but let's try that. It was specifically here, so the main idea was simply to sample something here to create some light. So for example, something like is lighted. Float is lighted, which could be equal to simple oppose, so in dot oppose dot w, because we've put it here, so we have the randomized value. Okay, plus time dot y, and this could be simply a fractional part. And we would take a small step of this to put directly into the emission here, and let's try what's happened now. We could end up with some elements which could be light on randomly during the time. I'm not sure about that because it might not be really beautiful for the sphere, so we might need to add a variable directly into the GPU mesh controller which can be able to say if the shape is lighted or not. But let's try that. It's kind of interesting, in fact. So, do we want to use a ramp for that or not? We still have the ramp, so we might try something like that. Fix for ramp, which could be equal to the text 2D of the ramp with a float 2 in dot oppose dot w. We could say the same thing, so let's say light time, so we could take the same value for the UV as for, oh no, it would not be, because each time it would be the same value here, so I would need a random from that. Okay, I could create a random because I think I have the random here in the noise. So I could say something like random of in dot oppose dot xyz plus in dot oppose dot w. Okay, then 0.5 to take the middle of the ramp. Then we could simply try something like that, and it's float 2 if we want to have something correct. Seems correct to me, and I think every mat as it's a ramp, it's the same ramp as yesterday. Clearly it's less interesting. adding some color directly to the element, it's clearly not interesting. Okay, so basically we can get rid of the ramp and keep this like that. Do we still need to have our body light? This is the main question, because as you could see now, we don't have the shadow from the dodeca or the ico. It's more the shadow from the sphere. So what's happened if I say something like that? But it's kind of interesting having this. Which one do I prefer? I'm not sure about that. But I think is the lighted one.